I got a very simple comment, which was, why did God make women so complicated? And I just find that question very interesting, because I believe if you were to ask women, they'd have the same question, which is, why did God make men so complicated? And I think both men and women get in the way of being able to completely understand and relate to the opposite sex, right? So because we have our way that we operate in the world, and so we become very used to the way that we operate being the right way to operate. And then we try to apply those same techniques to women, and we get frustrated when the response we get back from them is that they're agitated, or they're mad at us, or they can't understand why we said a thing or did a thing, or like some of the actions we do that we think shouldn't be all that scary are scary to them. You know, things like trying to actually tell them our emotions freaks them out. Like, what's all that about? But it's interesting because on women's side of things, like, I know we say, you know, as men, we're so simple. All you got to do is do X, Y, and Z, and we'll be happy. Well, women are on their side thinking, why can't men get us? Like, us women, we're so simple. If they would just, you know, be emotionally intelligent, allow us to trust them and treat us right, it'd be all great. And this goes to, again, that we project. Women think that, you know, we say we're simple, but because their brains are very complex, they try to assume everything has a hidden meaning to it. And because we feel like we're simple, and we can't understand why when we say some stuff that women don't just get what we're saying at face value. But in our own little worlds, things don't work like that. In women's worlds, when they're saying things to other women, they wish they could say stuff at face value and it mean that thing. But women have come to understand that when a woman says something to them, there's layers of meaning across the board for all women. So when they come to us, they think it's the same way. Meanwhile, with guys, we're very simple. We can say things without meaning to hurt somebody's feelings and just say it as a joke. So then we go to women and try to do that same thing. And they're like, oh my God, you hurt, blah, blah, blah. And then we like, well, I didn't say this thing to hurt them. I was just trying to be jokey, but they took it like way more offensively than my guy friends would have. And so that's what I get to. It's not that men and women are complicated. It's that amongst ourselves, we're simple and easy to understand. And so trying to then talk to a being that has completely different way of being, hormones are different, it makes us very frustrated on both sides. And this is why I really try to preach so much on this channel. Because guys will come to the channel and be like, you know, oh, these women are just crazy. They don't know what they want, this and that. And I say, no, if you actually study up on the psychology of women, if you talk to women friends, if you look at the history of what women have had to deal with, if you start really talking to women about their past history of dating and exes and what they've gone through, you'll start to get a better understanding of where they're coming from. And then when you do or say certain things and they get butthurt by it, you'll be like, oh, I get why they're hurt by that. Or you'll be like, I want to say this thing, but I know that this isn't going to be taken too well. So let me sit on it and find a different way to say it. And that goes into like things like emotional intelligence and really understanding the ins and outs of how women communicate. When you do these things, then what you'll find is that women will respond to you a lot better. They'll be more open, and they'll be more open to communicating with you in the way that you best communicate, right? But it starts with both sides have to be willing to understand how the other one functions. And unfortunately, because women are in the power play in terms of like leading up to sex, you got to be the one as the guy to do it. You got to be the one to come to the table and really understand what women are about, why they make the choices that they make, what they're really looking for in relationships, how they need to be felt, and all this other stuff. And if you study that, then women will respond to you a lot better. And it can be frustrating, but it's almost like learning a second language. Like I said, Doc Love talked about the whole thing called womanese, where it's like women have their own way of saying things and of acting and doing things. That is very true. But guess what, guy? It doesn't have to be complicated to learn. If you actively take the steps to just start looking at, okay, when women say this, they mean this, why? When women do this action, why? Women cry about these things over here that I don't understand, why? Once you start to understand the why, it actually becomes quite fun, like a fact-finding mission on trying to figure out the ins and outs of why women do these things. You do that for about like a year, I promise you, you will be 97% ahead of the majority of men out there that just can't figure out women. Like, I took a semester off to do a touring theater play, and I just spent 5 months when I wasn't doing the play studying up on women, reading Doc Love stuff, reading David D'Angelo stuff, and Carlos Zoom, and these other old school guys that had game and pickup and knew all these other things. By the time I was done with that year, like, I had a better idea of what to do, and I started getting small, better results at first, leading up to I could actually get a hookup. I could actually get into a relationship. But it's because I made knowing and understanding women less complicated by simply studying up, like reading, looking at videos, and taking the time out to practice some stuff. Like that's really all you need to do in order to understand women so they're not as complicated. Because I'll tell you this, once women are no longer complicated to you, dating them becomes really fun, because then you can really like go out there and start a conversation with any woman you want. You're not nervous. You're not anxious. You know how to go to parties. You know how to go online dating. You know how to meet up with new women by way of cold approach and just talking to them. And it's a really great skill to have, because it builds confidence in you that you will never be alone, because you will always know on some level how to be able to get a woman or get new women, because you understand them, because they're no longer complicated to you. So don't stay in this pity party state of, I can't understand women. They're just so crazy and I can't understand them. Like, no, you can understand them if you're willing to put in the work. It really is that simple.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man.